A lot is going on in the world, including an event right here at the Hayti Heritage Center, which is where I'm coming at y'all from. And that'll be a conversation around art and AI. So that'll be taking place later on this evening. And I'll be here for that event, which is why I'm here at this particular day as they are setting up for that. And we'll be talking about that. And I might even have a video that'll be talking about that event that'll be taking place from 6:30 to 8:30 right here at the Hayti Heritage Center and all along those lines. But there's a lot of things going on in the world as well. So that is definitely something that is going on, including the retirement of Senator Manchin. And some people are wondering if this means that he's going to be running for president. And all along those lines, I know there's been some speculation about him running even on the No Labels party and all in that space. And speaking of presidential politics, Biden and Xi are meeting, are is set for next week as the U.S. hopes to halt a downward spiral in relations. So that is something else that is going on. And definitely we're going to be having a meeting between those two leaders, and who knows what they might be talking about. They might be talking about things like TikTok and things like artificial intelligence and things like strategic relations in terms of international affairs and all in that space. But there's a lot of things that will already be part of this summit, and it'll be interesting to see how people think about that. And we've talked about fentanyl a number of times, and apparently there were envelopes with fentanyl or other substances that were sent to several elected officials. So four elected election officials in Washington were evacuated due to suspicious envelopes, two of them containing fentanyl. So authorities are investigating suspicious envelopes sent to election offices in 5 states. So that was in 5 states that this was going on, and all in that space. And a man who narrowly survived an electrical accident has received the world's first eye transplant. That's right, he had his eye transplanted. I know there have been heart transplants and lung transplants and a number of other transplants, but apparently this was the first ever eye transplant. So that is something that was going on in the world as well. So definitely a lot of people will be paying attention to that. And Israel has agreed to breaks in Gaza fighting as food and water is running out in that area. So 4-hour pauses are implemented in the Israel Hamas war as Israel agrees to a daily pause amid outrage over the Palestinian casualties and all in that kind of way. So that is something else that is going on as Israel is racing to root out Hamas as calls for Gaza ceasefire are mounting. So there are a lot of people that are calling for this ceasefire to take place and all along those kind of lines. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in that space. And 20,000 trucks are stuck at the Ukraine-Poland border amid a spat over the access to the EU. So thousands are waiting at the Ukraine border after Polish truckers blockade it. So the Polish truckers have blockaded it, and we'll see what's going on in that space as well. So there are a number of things that are going on there also. So there's all kinds of things that are happening in that way and in that particular situation and all along those lines. So definitely a lot of people are paying attention to that, and will be paying further attention in that way. We've got Steve Rao with us, and I'm going to bring him on. We've also got Jacoby McDuffie, and I'll have to tell him about this particular event that we've got going on here as well. But I'll turn it over to Steve for a hot second and see what other world issues are going on. One thing I've got to ask you, Steve, as we're talking, is I've heard that Mr. Manchin
Mark, thank you so much. I'm just
running for office. So what is your thoughts around this, that Mr. Manchin
yeah,
might be running for president, as he has said that he is stepping down and is not going to run
well,
for Senate seat. So I'll turn it over to you and Jacoby, and we've also got Sasha Star, but I'll be popping
yeah,
in and out.
yeah,
But
Mark. Let me open up with my monologue. Yeah, I have COVID. I'm sick again, so I'm leaving. I think I've got COVID again, so I'm gonna have to go to the hospital and doctor again. It's the third time I've had it in 6 weeks, so we don't know what's going on. But I just wanted to first of all wish everyone a happy Veterans Day, and I'll be back on Monday to dedicate the show to veterans um, because I'm not feeling well. But what I want to say today, before I get into some of the main news, and I'm going to hand it off to you, Mark, to run the rest of the show, is that tomorrow we celebrate Veterans Day in the United States of America. And Veterans Day always falls on the heels of a divisive election. And I think one thing we can learn from veterans is that we can find strength and unity and strength in our diversity. And the military is one of the most diverse organizations in the world. The brave men and women who have served in our military come from all walks of life, all genders, all races, all faiths. but they defend the cause of freedom around the world and here at home in the United States of America. So we want to honor and give our gratitude to our veterans today. And what I would ask is if you see a veteran, thank them. Sometimes you won't even know who they are, but they took their sacrifice to protect you, to save you. And we think of every veteran who gave their life. Of course, this is Veterans Day. We want to address veteran homelessness. We want to address VA benefits and all these things. So forget them. I want to thank any of you who have served our nation. And happy Veterans Day to all. And I'll do a more polished version of my monologue on Monday. With that being said, really the issues to talk about today on Monday will be Joe Manchin not running, giving the Republicans probably a clean sweep now to take over the Senate. Their only hope is probably to hold on to the House at this point and the presidency. So it's scary times for Democrats. War in Gaza continues, and I saw some very interesting AI technology demoed yesterday by Dell with something called Clara, which is the AI agent, which is amazing. And lots of other stuff going on in the world, but I'll be back on Monday. Mark, thank you so much for letting me open up. Want to wish everyone a happy Veterans Day, and I'm going to go get some medicine so I can feel better. All right, thank you guys.
No problem. That makes a lot of sense.
102. Well, I have 102 fever, so I'm not thinking very clearly. So I want to get off the air so I can lie down. But I appreciate
we definitely
it.
want you to get better and all along those lines. And one of the other things that I was seeing in the news was Rishi Sunak still has confidence in his Home Secretary and all along those lines. So Sunak's Minister Braverman has faced fire over what some people are saying is a police bias and hate marches remark that was going on and all in that space. But he is still saying that he's got confidence. And as I mentioned on our World Politics show, U.S. launched airstrikes on site in Syria, targeting a militia facility and all in that space. And Canadian Prime Minister, where I know Sasha is condemning violence after shots were fired at a Jewish school. So that is something that we are seeing as anti-Semites sprayed Montreal Jewish school with bullets and hurled Molotov cocktails at a synagogue as anti-Jewish hate apparently is surging there in Canada. And I know that you talked about that, Sasha, that you had some friends in that community as well as being a member of that community yourself, and have heard some people that have definitely not even been attending the synagogue and things along those lines. So definitely does look like your Canadian Prime Minister has come out and has made a condemnation of some of the attacks on Jewish institutions and all along those lines, and is even saying that there is no place for anti-Semitism in that country or in the world even. So I just wondering your takes on what's going on in Canada, and was Trudeau's remarks enough and all in that space. So like I said, I just saw this news story, so I wasn't sure exactly all of the details, but you are there in Toronto, if I remember correctly. So maybe you've got some reflections about this particular motion and words that were spoken by Trudeau.
What's interesting is, I will answer your question, Mark. What's interesting is that there were reports about 15 selected, you won't believe, cowboys from United States, young guys ranging from 20 to 25, maybe 27 years old, very physically strong people, still dressed in their usual clothes, in cowboys, boots and hats and so on. And where do you think they are today?
No, I saw the video, so I know that they're over there participating and doing their part in the Israel military campaign and all along those lines. I did get the video.
No, they're not fighting really. They are in so-called the West Bank, which is actually Judea and Samaria, and they are cleaning all the mess left by Arabs and preparing the area for bearing the fruits and vegetables and building the dwellings where people can stay. And they are very happy to be there because what they alluded is that the Israel and the Jewish faith is a cornerstone of all Western civilization, and they are there to defend it at any cost from all kinds of barbarians who want to erase the Judeo-Christian civilization. And that's their mission. They're there. They can be interviewed. The pictures are there. So this is a real interesting development. From the same point of view, you can be horrified by what's happened in the United States and Canada and in Europe as well. But see, Europe is different. See, Europe is religious. It's engraved in their psyche, the anti-Semitism, a very deep one, which is going back centuries ago. And that's why Hitler was so successful to capitalize on that. And he was able to kill 6 million Jews during the Second World War, because there was no resistance, or virtually no resistance, from other nations who were not stating goals to exterminating all Jews, not at all. But they didn't resist to that plan either, and some people even helping the Germans to accomplish this fate. Canada and United States are relatively young countries, so there is no opportunities for anti-Semitism to raise its ugly head, but it does. It's raising. And this is going contrary to basic interests of Judeo-Christian civilization. And this is a very alarming development. And of course, all that being possible thanks to left universities, chairs, professors, a lot influx of foreign students, specifically from the Arab world. See, the problem is that all these wonderful students from the Arab, any other different civilizations, they don't enhance our civilization, not at all. They are different civilization, and we can interact with them, but we cannot make them part of our civilization. It failed elsewhere. It failed in Europe, in Germany, France, and any other country. It's going to fail here as well.
So, Sasha, if I'm hearing you correctly, and you can correct me if I'm wrong and everything, but if I'm hearing you correctly, you're thinking that people that are not necessarily Christian or of the Judeo-Christian faith will not be able to be successful or have true allegiance to what is going on in America, and they should not be coming to this country, be they from Lebanon or Syria or a number of other Middle Eastern countries, because that's the way that the conversation is coming across. But I don't want to put words in your mouth. But are you thinking that the Muslim population should not be here in the United States, even though there's a strong American Muslim population as well? Some people that decide to follow that form of the Islamic faith, be that the ones that believe under the leadership of Louis Farrakhan or Mr. Muhammad, who I think is the one that runs the other faction of the American Muslims and everything. So there are mosques here as well. But are you thinking that these parts of society should not be part of the United States or Canada? Or
okay, Mark, it's a good question. I'll do my best to answer that. If we would like to keep concept of Judeo-Christian civilization and move ahead on that basis, then the other people from other civilization, if they are coming to our place, our country, our civilization, and they want to become part of it, no problems. Please come and become part of our civilization. But if you want to live in your own enclaves and have your own beliefs which are to the contrary of our civilization, then you are not welcome. Full stop, period. You are not welcome. We want to have our civilization intact, and we want to raise our children and grandchildren in our civilization the way it was built. We don't need influx of people from our civilization to bring their own rules, to govern their own way, to do things what they feel right or wrong or whatever they want to do. No, they have to blend. They have to become part of our civilization. Thank you.
Well, that's been
Tasha?
the whole conversation.
I'm sorry, Mark?
No, Jacoby had his hands up, but before I get to
Lee was-
Jacoby and
Lee was
everything,
first.
before I get to Jacoby, there was a whole conversation even in the African American population, what you were talking about, which is the notion of assimilation versus integration or segregation, and a number of other conversations. And that whole conversation was existing in the 60s because there were some people that were thinking that some of the great neighborhoods, including like Hayti, which is a Black Wall Street area, that they needed to blend more into the mainstream society and not be supported. And that is part of the reason of the destruction of these societies and all along those lines. But that being said, and this is where I was going to get to Jacoby, and I did see your hand raised, Jacoby. There are some great societies that have come into this area, and they are very insular. I wish Steve was here, but I think that the Indian community is very insular, both here and in Canada, and they are some of the folks that are doing some of the development even in our technology lane and all of that. But they want to stay in a neighborhood like here. They stay a lot in the Cary, which is a town, city, and everything. If they want to stay in those neighborhoods and go to their own temples and things of that nature, I don't think that that's problematic. But apparently in your mind it is, Sasha. But Jacoby,
No, it's not. Mark,
It
no,
was
it's
actually-
not. The Indians are part of the Western civilization. Even if you take the language, for example, they use English as the number one language. They are not because they have different religions, so they're not really falling into some horrible religious beliefs that would put them into confrontation with our civilization. Not at all. And they're blending very well. And in fact, this you can view that as a successful blending of different civilization into our civilization. And I have no problems with that at all.
Jacoby?
Well, Lee was actually had his head up first, so Lee, it's on you.
I just want to make a comment to Sasha and then also a question to Mark. But in terms of like the Amish, they don't blend in society at all. But most people don't find them threatening because even though they isolate themselves, they respect the rule of law and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. What Sasha, I think, is saying, and I agree with him 100%, I don't care whether you're Muslim, Jewish, fill in the blank, I don't really care. What I do care is when you come to a country, you embrace the country. If in America, for example, you embrace the Constitution and Bill of Rights. You don't come here and say the Constitution and Bill of Rights is a piece of garbage, and we want to change that because we have something superior that we're bringing from outside, but from a country that we don't want to be in.
But
Well, I don't think that that's what-
are not newcomers to this land. They've been here for generations, and they don't try to dictate their own views to
100%, I agree with that. That's my point.
But Sasha, I don't think that the majority of Muslims do that. I don't think, and I have some friends.
They're doing it now, Mark.
Muslim community, and I have friends that are part of the Islamic community, whether that is American Muslims or part of the more traditional Muslim community. Most of the ones that I know that are Muslim are actually American Muslims. Then that's a whole separate conversation that took place around the time of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and a number of other people as well. But I have not heard that many that have said that they are trying to bring their ways here and everything. And the whole notion of America being a Judeo-Christian society, yes, it is got that reputation, but let's be very honest. And I know some people that honor the fact of the lands that we come on, and the lands that we come on, and part of my own personal ancestry is Native American land, and they have some other religious beliefs, and sometimes we don't even acknowledge their beliefs and all in that space. So they were here even
Mark,
before
again,
the Judeo-Christian
your
society.
ancestors didn't come to here from nowhere. They are people who lived here for centuries, maybe for thousands of years. So this is completely different case. And even so that they are the people who have the longest ancestry here in this land, they're not trying to dictate their views to others and say that should be done this, They are not shooting at schools, innocent children. They are not behaving the way as
Just-
many others do, unfortunately. And
Yeah,
that
Sasha,
Just to point out-
Sasha,
Mark.
and I'm getting to get to you, Jatovia. Have you ever heard of a group called AIM? It's the American Indian Movement. So it has actually been bringing up some conversations and everything in that space. So you can't say that there are not radical aspects of even the American Indian movement as well, or the Indian population, because AIM
well,
is
radicals
also
are
like
everywhere. Radicals among the Christian, Judeo-Christian civilizations, among white people and black people and whatever name them. The radicals, the perpetrators, the criminals, they have to be punished. That's a very simple thing. So if you want to go against the law, it doesn't matter what race you are, or nationality, or ancestries, and you have to be punished. That's just as simple as that, and that's why we have police and we have other means.
Jatovia.
Just to point out on a couple of things, Sasha, and I know Lee, you tried to clear up what he said, but that's not really what he said. He did say that basically you have to adhere to this set of rules, which, yes, we're a nation of laws. We're not a Judeo-Christian society. We're not a nation based on religion. We were a nation based on escaping religious persecution. But it seems like we're going back to persecuting those in particular religions. So like the Muslim community, how, Sasha, you started off saying that the Muslims who come here are trying to bring their own this and that. No, they're not. They're coming to a nation and they're adhering to the laws. As a matter of fact, you can look it up. Immigrants and even undocumented immigrants commit the least amount of crime compared to the average society. So we have to stop this notion that, hey, immigrants are bringing all this and immigrants are doing all this bad stuff. That's untrue. So yes, Muslims hold on, Sasha. Let me finish.
Okay.
Muslims have their own particular set of rules based on their religion, but they're adhering to the laws of the nation, which every religion that comes in or every immigrant that comes in is doing that. And I think, Lee, you pointed out that, oh, well, they're doing this and they need, and you agree that, oh, that they should follow the rules. Well, that's what they're doing. That's really what they're doing. What we are doing is persecuting them. We are saying that, oh, they're going to bring Sharia law. No, that's never happened. What's really happened is that we've created our own Handmaid's Tales type laws with all this, the crazy restrictions and so on and so forth that falls in line with that. I mean, we are becoming those, we claim to be the oppressed, but we are becoming the oppressors. And we are the ones who are, claiming, just as Sasha said, hey, they have to come in and they're doing that. People are immigrating here are doing that. Just like you said, well, they're not doing that. You don't have any cases of that. And then when you talk about shooting up schools, do you realize that white Christian males are the ones who are doing most of the mass murders or the mass shootings? So when you're talking about these individuals that are coming here and doing all this craziness, well, it's the ones who are committing the most crimes are ourselves. So we have to quit the fallacies of, hey, Muslims are doing this and, oh, because of what's going on in the Gaza Strip. Well, what's happening there? And just to touch on that real fast, what's happening here is that we have Palestinian Americans who are upset at seeing Palestinians and those in the Gaza Strip being starved, bombed, told to go different places while being starved and bombed and still being killed. So we keep rotating back to, oh, well, and just as Israelis, the Jewish people have a right to live, we have to think the same about the Palestinian people and the people of Gaza. They have the right to live as well. We have to figure out a solution and stop jumping back to hey, October 7th, this is what happened. It was an atrocity, and we can all agree. Hamas is a terrorist organization because they crossed the line. And that is horrible. And we should not be championing them in any way. We should condemn them. Agree with that completely. The Israeli people should be able to defend themselves. Complete. But that doesn't give them the right to bomb kids. That doesn't give them the right to kill women. That doesn't give them the right to starve people to death. That doesn't give them the right to kill more Palestinian children than were people killed on October 7th. That doesn't give them that right.
Toby?
So again, we've got to be honest, and we have to work together instead of arguing. So jumping in our positions and arguing at each other.
Yeah, I got a question to Toby. I appreciate your thoughts. If you could be the Prime Minister of Israel, what would you do different?
If I were the Prime Minister of Israel, somehow I'm trying to reach out to the Palestinian people. Somehow I'm trying to reach out to the Gazan people. Somehow I'm trying to create a two-state solution. As much.
No, I'm sorry. I apologize. What would you do in response to October 7th?
I would figure out
to make sure it never happens again.
I would figure a strategic way to go after Hamas. I would do more surgical strikes rather than just dropping bombs, because under there are some tunnels. So I'm going to bomb where an ambulance is, or I'm a bomb where a hospital is, or I'm going to flatten all of Gaza just to get to the tunnels beneath while killing all the people on the top. I would figure out some way. I would pull the Palestinian people out. I would work with.
They asked them to leave.
You give them 5 hours.
No, they've been asking for weeks to leave.
Again, you haven't reached out to the Palestinian people. All they said was, "Okay, y'all leave, and we're coming in to shoot." How's that helping? You're not giving them an option. You're saying, "I've got a gun, they've got a gun. Who are you going to listen to?"
You know what
you're saying. I'm bombing you, they're bombing you. Who are you going to listen to?
Yeah, but
that's the situation you're listening to me.
Toby, let's get serious, okay? They said, you leave because we're going to come in. And you know what they said? We're not going to leave.
Incorrect. Don't even do that.
No, lots of them have been trying to be putting white flags up.
You said, let's be honest, and you start out with a lie.
Your popular press, they go, and they had people on the TV going, well, we've already been displaced once. We're not going to move again.
You started off with a lie. You can't say, let's be honest, and then start with a lie.
Hey. Okay, let's imagine King Jacoby. So you're now the king of Israel, and you asked the people to leave, and they didn't. Now, what do you do next?
No, he just said a surgical strike, and a surgical strike is what we've
done. I know. What you do is you wave your fairy dust, Jacoby.
Incorrect. You wouldn't even let me answer because you're afraid of what my answer may be. Are you going to let me answer, or are you going to answer for me?
Fairy dust.
Are you gonna
fairy dust?
Hold on a second. Let's hear Toby's answer.
Are you gonna answer for me, or are you gonna let me answer? Which one?
Toby, answer. What's the answer?
You said King Jacoby is gonna be able to. I'm not waving fairy dust. I'm not doing anything of the nature. I've reached out. Okay, they're not listening. Okay, time to send in humanitarian aid to start really pushing forward towards the people of Palestine. We're going to try and work with you to get out. You're talking about, let me go ahead and blow everybody up. That doesn't work that way. It does not work that way, because what you're doing with what you're asking and with just dropping bombs on people is creating, you're saying, we just clear out Hamas by killing everybody. Do you know what that does? That creates more terrorist organizations that want to come back. That doesn't do anything.
That's it.
Here to prove the point, to prove the fact that happens. You said you killed ISIS. You know what popped up next? You have other groups that are coming in. You said you killed Al Qaeda. Oh, you got other groups that come up. You cannot just war against the terrorist organization does not work. You just create more terrorists.
The other,
I remember you're right.
To come to, there will be no Gaza Strip anymore,
and that creates hatred.
Sasha,
Sasha, there will be nothing.
Sasha,
you kill everybody. You create ethnic cleansing, which everybody is saying that you're doing already. And what happens?
Some people will be killed, but there will be no more Gaza Strip.
You do an ethnic cleansing, and what is everybody saying you're doing right now? An ethnic cleansing, and what is that? A war crime.
Sasha, Jacoby, let's face it, Jacoby is right. when the United States invaded Germany and they killed all the Nazis, that was horrible because all it did is create more Nazis.
Oh yeah, because you're saying that all.
Oh wait, it didn't. I'm sorry, I got the history
Nazis
wrong.
gone, Nick?
Hold on a second.
No.
Hold on a second. Nick,
It's
hold
all
on a second.
the-
Hold on a second.
Are-
Hold on.
is all
No,
the
hold on a second. You said
anti-Semitism
it
gone?
didn't, but
No.
hold on. You said it didn't, but is there not a actual? Because that's actually one of the hate groups that is investigated and everything. Is there not actually a neo-Nazi movement that exists in Europe, that exists in even America, that exists in a number of other
Mark,
places?
don't tell
So
Nick.
you
Nick
can't
doesn't
say
know.
that it did not
We
create
should have never
new
invaded
Nazis.
Germany. We should have never invaded Germany under
Incorrect.
the
Nick, you're just
King
right now.
Jacoby
you're
would
shooting
leave
hip.
Germany alone because, hey,
That's
come
what
on,
you
our
do, shoot from the
history-
That doesn't work. That doesn't work. Again,
Okay,
right
you're
now
now
you're talking
King
about
Jacoby. There we go.
everybody is saying you're basically doing ethnic cleansing. You're committing genocide against these individuals, and you're saying go in and do that. What do you think that creates? You're a Jewish state surrounded by Arab nations, and you have just gone into another Arab nation and
It's not Arab
killed
nation.
everybody.
I'm sorry, it's not. It's definitely not an Arab nation.
You've gone in
it's
and
a
killed every Arab in the West Bank, and you're just saying, "Well, we're just doing what we do."
Okay, you know what?
What are you?
Chatolia, let's
so
get
you-
real now. Okay, I've heard enough of your garbage. Let's be clear about something. There are now new reports coming out that all the help coming to Gaza from Qatar, from other wealthy Arab nations, from United States, from United Nations, from any other many European countries, they are being used by Hamas leaders, many of
Where are the
whom are
reports coming from?
billionaires.
Where are the reports
So
coming
I'll say
American press, it's all over the place, Jacoby. It's
from?
from
Where are the
verified.
Lee,
Where are
hold
the
on a
reports
second.
coming
Hold on a
from?
second. Are you going to tell me that there are not people that are getting money, whether they be Israel or Ukraine or some other leaders that are not being corrupt in their reception of the money? So you can't just say that that is just something that has happened from the Arab leaders and
Okay,
with
you
the
know
Hamas
what?
people, but there are
Mark, you're correct, but there's a difference. There's a big difference. But you are correct. A lot of countries are corrupt,
Wait.
and it's very sad.
How's there a difference?
Okay, let me explain. First of all, the leaders of Hamas are not in Gaza. They're over in five-star hotels in Qatar. Okay, the Palestinians. It's unfortunate they're stealing all the resources from them. These people are poor. They don't have schools. They don't have roads. They don't have water. Why? Because these billionaires who are
No,
calling
they
the
don't
shots
They don't have
having a
water
life
because
of Riley.
Israel turned off the water.
and
They don't
oligarchs
have-
Wait a
in
minute,
Russia.
why do you need Israel for the water? They've had the country for 20 years. Where's the water infrastructure? Why don't they have water pipes? What'd they do with them?
Lee, Israel turned off the water, electricity, all this stuff.
but they didn't have any.
They
any
did that
before
because they
the
were trying to
October
force
7th.
Hamas.
They-
Just told me my point. Why is Israel even supplying water even in peacetime? Why don't they have their own water infrastructure? What they do with all the water pipes? Oh, that's right, rockets.
Lee,
No,
hold on.
that's not necessarily the case.
That's
Didn't
not-
Israel?
It is the case, Mark.
Lee,
hold
right
on.
now, as a matter of fact, Israel turned off the water. You can argue all the other
No,
stuff.
right now, I agree with you. Israel's turning off the water that they're supplying. I'm on board with you. You're right.
We're on board.
I agree with
We're
you.
on board there. So now you are sitting here arguing that, oh, well, money coming in to try and help these individuals is going to these Arab nations or coming from these Arab nations. Oh, Hamas is stealing it.
Yeah, do you don't think they're siphoning off all the aid?
You have aid coming into Israel, and the water is still not flowing to the people of Palestine who are suffering.
Jacoby, give me
So
one
wait.
example during wartime where one country
Wait.
supplied the other with water.
Wait. Where is the help for the Palestinian people? You've argued that, okay, Hamas is stealing this. Israel, as I just said,
That's a great question. Why aren't the people in Qatar splitting with them with aid?
Ask me, what would I do to help the Palestinian people? You're telling me Hamas is stealing this money. We agree Israel's the one that has turned off the water, turned off the humanitarian aid, has the full control over this. And if we want to help the Palestinian people in a humanitarian way, Who has the opportunity to do that? You're saying this group is stealing it, and you, just as I pointed out, you have a person here on your right-hand side with a gun.
Jacoby?
Here on your left-hand side with a gun. They're both saying they're going to kill you, but one has the opportunity to help you. Which way do you go to? The one that can help
Jacoby, in terms of the water, was Gaza getting 100% of the water from Israel, or only, let's say, 80%?
Israel turned off the water, and
Israel turned off the water they were supplying. Were they supplying 100% of the needs?
Lee, you're arguing now semantics to justify.
No, I'm not.
Yes,
no, I'm not.
Have we agreed that Israel turned off the water and the humanitarian?
No, Israel turned off the water that they were supplying, which I believe is around 13% of the water that was in Gaza.
Go back.
No, I think it was more than that.
Literally,
can you Google it, please, Mark?
Yeah.
I believe it's approximately.
You literally just agreed that humanitarian aid, water, electricity was turned off by Israel. We literally just agreed.
No, that's not what I said. I am sorry if I misspoke. I said what Israel was supplying, they turned off. So Gaza has their own infrastructure.
Lee, even if you take they turned off their little bit that they were doing. So Israel still has an opportunity to help. So even going by your fallacy, Israel has the opportunity to help. So you have this person who can help.
You're right. Or humanitarian white. I agree with you.
Point.
No, I don't.
That is the point.
Yeah, I agree with you. They could, but should they? I don't think they should.
So then, what are you expecting the Palestinian people to do? What are you expecting the people of the?
Let me hear Sasha for a second.
Ask you something.
What are you expecting?
Bart?
Yeah, I'm trying to find the stat. It looks like it's around 13% or something like that.
Wait, but Sasha, before you go, Mark, can you repeat what you just said for Toby?
I said it looks like when I look it up online, it says that 3 pipelines from Israel provide around 13% of Gaza's water needs. So where the other water is coming from?
So 87% Israel does not control.
Help.
Let me
help, but you're saying you don't get help.
They can hear you.
Ask you about humanitarian help, water, electricity, and many other supplies to Germans during Second World War. I never heard about something.
Okay, you're talking about the Second World War that has no relevance to this. Now you're trying to bring in examples that don't matter. There were 5 wars within the past 15 years between Israel and the Gaza Strip. So let's stay relevant and not go back to World War whatever.
Raped 1.5 million German women. And
You
no
can go back
one
to the
ever
World War.
complained
We're
about
talking
it.
about
It
Israel
was
and
very
Palestine.
south of Germany started the
5,000
Second
plus
World
have
War.
died.
This
5,000
is
plus
so. So
Palestinians
women
died.
are being raped, and for many women being
5,000
raped is
Palestinians
even
have
worse than
There have
being
been so many Palestinians that have been
so
destroyed.
now
But yet
now
you're going to argue about
Palestine
World War whatever.
Palestine people, Hamas, their
Nobody's talking about
Führers,
Hamas. People are talking
they
about the
started on October
Palestinian people.
7th, they
Same thing
started
with the
a
Israelis
war
that are there
against
as well.
Israel. Israel, as you admitted, yes,
The
right,
Palestinian Americans, what, they don't
respond.
matter?
So Israel is responding, and they're responding, trying to have as many casualties as
Sasha, hold on a second.
their sometimes even
Sasha, hold on a second, because you said that several times.
lives of their
No,
soldiers
Sasha.
to
No,
stay.
Sasha, you said that several times. I have to ask you this question. Are you saying that all Palestinians are members of Hamas and therefore they are the majority of the leadership or the majority of the population there? Because I've heard you make this statement several times. And like I said, in my conversations, I have heard several people that are of the Islamic faith that are not backers of Hamas. Actually, they think that, as many people have said on this show, that Hamas is a terrorist organization. But if I keep hearing you that putting the Palestinians and the Hamas in the same basket, and I don't know that they are in the same basket all the time.
Okay, good question. A good question. I'll try to answer that. As you know, after 6 days of war, both Egypt and Jordan signed peace treaty with Israel, and they recognized for Israel right to exist. Since then, for about 50 years, there was not a single war between Israel and Egypt, Israel and Jordan. All other Arab countries, including Syria and many others in that region, they did not, including, by the way, Palestine too, the Gaza, the West Bank, they have not recognized a right for Israel to exist. On the Hamas resolution, when they started their operation in 1987, the goal was to eradicate the country of Israel, kill all the Jews there, and that's where it came from the river to the sea, from Jordan River to Mediterranean Sea. There would be no Israel existing. So in this context, Palestinians and their leaders, Hamas, they are legitimate leaders of the Palestinians. Same thing as Hitler was a leader of Germans. And there were among 1.5 million raped women in Germany. Some of them hated Hitler. Some of them were against Hitler, against Holocaust. Yet it didn't help them much. Those women who shouted, Heil Hitler, and those who hated Hitler, their collateral damage.
How does this relate?
That relates to Palestinians. There is something what calls collective responsibility. They are
So you're saying, due to the fact that
Hamas to lead them, they have to be responsible for all Hamas.
You are.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Sasha, let me just break this down to you and everything. So you said collective responsibility. So by that same logic, if I'm hearing you correctly, by that same logic, I could hold you as maybe Lee more so, but you and Lee as folks that are considered European Americans collectively responsible for the slavery that my ancestors were subjected to. By that logic that you just gave, I could hold y'all collectively responsible.
You know, Mark, it's a very interesting question. You know that history is written by the winners, not by the losers. So it all depends if you're a winner. If Hamas would prevail and would kill all the Jews and throw
you ran away from the question.
Then the history would be on the Hamas side.
You really ran away from the question.
Yeah, you ran away from the question.
Yes, Sasha,
you know what? But they're on the losing side. Now we're coming to different concepts.
You totally ran away from the question.
They started the war, wanted to achieve something, and lost.
Sasha, that's not the question.
Payment time, baby.
That's not the question, Sasha. Sasha, the question was that the one that Mark asked is that should you be, because based on your argument by collective whatever,
it applies to losers only. You don't listen to what I'm just saying. It applies to losers only. Friend of mine, please. Get your brains functioning a little bit better.
So again, it applies to losers only. The losers in the Civil War, for example, were whom? The same individuals that were white fighting to keep minorities enslaved. So basically, based on your argument, again, you can be held collectively guilty for enslaving minorities. That was the question. Is that true? No.
It depends. If you're losers, yes, there is a collective responsibility.
So we can hold you collectively responsible for slavery.
If we are losers. Make us losers first. And then you'll talk about the responsibility.
So by that logic, I can expect a check from you. So by that logic, I can expect a check from you, Sasha, sometime later on this week. That would be the reparation check. So I can expect a check from you and Lee by that logic. So
there is a stipulation though that I think is fair in this case though. I don't think anyone holds Germans alive today for what the grandparents did. Okay, it doesn't go generational. It's only about those people at that time.
So
I have no animosity whatsoever towards present day Germans who had nothing to do with what happened 70 years ago.
Here's a question then. So we're going with your stipulation. We're going to add in that stipulation.
What is my interesting point that I want to mention is
Sasha, in terms of losers,
Germany still pays a huge
play this rabbit hole out.
To Jewish
in terms of losers,
Israel, nobody is forcing them.
Sasha, just tell me what's Lee and everything.
Because they recognize what's happening in the Holocaust time, in the Second World War, and they are doing that voluntarily.
We're going down this rabbit hole.
To do it, but they do.
We're going down this rabbit hole here that you created. So, and we go in this stipulation. The Klan, the KKK, white supremacists, are still alive, are still here. there are some actually that are in our government. And there are some that anti-Semitics that are welcome at Mar-a-Lago by Trump. So those white supremacists, they aren't winners, they are losers. So based on that logic, can't I collectively throw you both in that? Because they are white supremacists, they are losers. So how does that correlate? Or is there another stipulation that we cannot look at?
Did I understand correctly? Did you say that Ku Klux Klan members are losers? That's what you said?
White supremacists are losers, yes.
And yeah,
You are white,
there-
so
there-
therefore
there
you would
be-
fit that mold.
okay. Wait a second.
You have that connection, just like how you want to try and tie the Palestinian people to Hamas. So again, you are white, and there are white supremacists. So how is that different from what you're saying?
Well, it's a huge difference. Is that the
No,
white
it's not. You're still just correlating two things.
Wait a sec. White supremacy is not a mainstream of American politics, and they are not dictating their views.
Donald Trump retweeted.
Is Hamas the
Retweeted
mainstream
people
of the
yelling out,
Palestinian
"What's
population?
Donald
Let's-
Trump actually retweeted white supremacists. Marjorie Taylor Greene has a huge anti-Semitic and white supremacist strain to her. Donald Trump, in his own administration, hired many white supremacists. So we can't
Jacoby?
say that it's mainstream. It's not mainstream.
Jacoby, do you think Donald Trump is anti-Semitic?
Do I think he's anti? I think he is, I guess, opportunistic, and so happening to be anti-Semitic, or he would draw in that because hey, they're a voting bloc. Yes, I would say he's dropped. He actually has said some anti-Semitic things, a lot of them. Same thing with the
No,
other
stupid things are anti-Semitic. Stupid or anti-Semitic?
I think he said some
Anti-Semitic
things that
things.
were actually anti-Semitic, and he was called
he
on
said
them.
anti-Semitic things.
And
He's
what was the
literally-
response?
Again, he was sued for not renting to black people. He was literally sued for that. So
That's not anti-Semitic. I'm not saying that's good or bad. I think whatever. But that's what has to do with anti-Semitism.
But if you want to get on his anti-Semitic remarks, and I'd have to pull them out. But yes, he said some things that were anti-Semitic, and actually because of his having some support within some of the lobbying community, including some in the Jewish
The difficulty I'm having, Mark.
they actually kind of brushed it aside. So there are some people
The difficulty I'm having with that is, according to a lot of people, he's been the most pro-Israel president in history. One,
Literally.
two, his daughter, his son-in-law, his grandchildren are Jewish. It makes no
He
sense.
literally had one of the biggest anti-Semites in Mar-a-Lago.
I'm not
If-
disagreeing with that. Did he
No.
know at the time?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Steve Bannon, anti-Semitic.
Is he?
The kid, what's his name? The bald head, skinny kid. What's his name? That was in his administration. One of his biggest backers. He was a graduate of Duke, as a matter of fact. Yes, he's one of the biggest anti-Semitic individuals out there. He hired anti-Semitic individuals. He said anti-Semitic things.
As a matter of fact, hold on a second. One of his quotes that he said, and this was actually from last year on Truth Social, his network, he actually attacked American Jews for being insufficiently supportive of him. Wonderful evangelicals are far more appreciative of Trump's record on Israel than the people of the Jewish faith, especially those living in the
How is
US.
that anti-Semitic? I know that's calling out, and I don't know if it was a good idea.
If Rashida Tlaib said that, you'd want her censured again.
Yeah, where's Rashida now with that Jewish guy, the protester or whatever, the rallying for Israel was killed by the Palestinian anti-protester. Where's she on that? Did she call that out?
She called out a couple of things. She definitely even
She's
called
I didn't hear
out-
that on that one.
She even called out Hamas, and she's called out some other things as well.
Again, she's called out these things. She's done these things. Ilhan Omar apologized for saying something even close to being anti-Semitic. Rashida Tlaib has begged because she's Palestinian she's Palestinian American watching Palestinians being killed. She's talked about humanity. She's talked about peace. She's talked about please ceasefire, all this other stuff just for humanitarian aid because of the Palestinian people getting killed. But you know what? Guess who brought up the censoring documents? The biggest anti-Semite in Congress in Marjorie Taylor Greene. And you know who didn't censor her?
No, in fairness, she did originally, but this wasn't her resolution. This was somebody else's.
Fairness,
First didn't,
in
first
fairness,
didn't
she
pass.
brought it up twice.
First
Just really
didn't
quick,
pass, though.
hold on a second,
And
just really
hold on,
quickly,
Lee,
because we can
even
go
worse.
on this whole tangent forever and
Even-
everything. But there were a couple of things,
Even worse.
including
Hold on,
something
real
that
quick, Mark. Let me drop this in. Even worse. The individual who's the biggest anti-Semite brings up something to censor the only Palestinian American in Congress. Think of how terrible that looks.
that
The
is a
one who's
contradiction
been
and everything.
anti-
Why is it wrong? Either what you said was reprehensible or it's not. What's the difference if she's Palestinian?
Marjorie Taylor Greene has said much more.
No. That wasn't my question. I'm
No,
saying if
Lee.
Rashida said
No,
was
Lee.
reprehensible, what's the difference whether she's Palestinian or not?
Lee,
What exactly did she say that was reprehensible? Like I said, a lot of what she said was about supporting the people that are of both Israel and Palestine. And she specifically
So-
called out Israel and Palestine, and she was asking for humanitarian aid and a number of other things. As a matter of fact, if you hear her very emotional speech, she actually talked about some of the things that she said that were not reprehensible and everything. Now,
Yeah.
did she not call out Hamas like she should have? Yes, that would probably.
I didn't read the whole resolution. I'm not sure. I can't speak to that.
what
Well, like I
happened?
said, I did hear the resolution, and a lot of it was about her wanting humanitarian aid and a number of other things. Really quickly, and I know Sasha brought this up because sometimes he talks about some of the tribal differences that exist, and maybe that's why there aren't as much conversation. But there is another ethnic cleansing that is going on, and some folks are saying that it might be one of the largest that is going on, and that is actually in Sudan. So they're saying that the mass killings might be the largest in the civil war that erupted in April. So there's a major civil war going on in there with the paramilitary groups committing what some have said is the single largest mass killing since that civil war erupted. But because it's tribal and everything, maybe that's the reason that it doesn't get as much attention. But the latest
No,
one,
know why it's not getting much attention. Because this war in Sudan cannot affect all world population, including United States, as Israeli, as Ukrainian wars. This is why even in Sudan, God forbid, will be killed 100 million people. It's not going to have any impact of our lives here in North America.
you say that, but we're talking about a part of the war and a part of the world that is also dealing with the whole Arab and other conversations because of apparently decades, Sudan's central government neglected non-Arab farmers and Arab pastoralists, so Arab farmers in that area, pushing them to compete for fertile land and dwindling water resources. So it looks like water is.
Mark, where's the United Nations on that one? And where's the media? Because I'm not aware of that so much, and we should be, because it's
That's
horrible.
what I'm saying. It should be more in the news. That is my point and everything. And apparently 300,000 people died in combat, as well as from famine and disease brought on by the conflict. And to answer your questions, rights groups and the UN has accused these government-backed militias known to victims as the Janjaweed or devils on horseback of carrying out what we say is being carried out there, which is ethnic cleansing. So they're saying that there is ethnic cleansing going on there as well. So one of the quotes is a lot human rights lawyer said they want to ethically cleanse us, and he spoke to Al Jazeera from Cairo, Egypt, where she now lives. So,
Okay, go on and tell us more horrible stories about Sudan war. Okay, I'm ready to listen.
I mean, I'm just saying that that's something that, to Nick Lee's point, that we don't talk about. We also don't talk about the Candelaine separatist movement, because apparently there's a separatist movement in Spain and all along those lines. So that was one of the other things that was supposed to be the world edition, that we can hopefully bring some people in that can talk about that, because there is a separatist movement of people, just like there are folks that want to separate parts of the United States. Apparently there are people that want to separate parts of Spain. And Lee, have you heard that news story? Or have you heard the news story? I know Shaquille brought it up, but apparently in Australia, they just signed a security and a migration pact with the Pacific's Tuvalu folks
Okay,
and
go on.
everything.
Keep going.
Yes, I'm just saying that are these not things that need to be part of the conversation as well, if we're supposed to be the world edition? Because I mean, part of it is around climate change and even the migration conversation and even China's influence. Because I know your show coming up is going to deal with China and all along those lines. So definitely there's a number of things that we probably should be talking about that we could talk about as well. I'm not saying that what we talked about today wasn't important and all along those lines. And just really quickly, because I know we got about 5 minutes to go and everything, I'm going to take a pivot because I brought it up earlier, and this is actually a point of privilege and all along those lines. But there's an event going on that Jacoby, I need you to come and check out, and everything is taking place here. And I'd love to hear your thoughts around it. But this is an AI event taking place here at the center, which is the reason that I'm here instead of my home office. But let's check out this out and see y'all's thoughts around AI as well. So like I said, that's going on, and that's going on here at the center and everything later on this evening. But what are your thoughts? Jacoby says that's your lane, and I'm actually looking out at some computers that are set up as to the future of AI and whether AI is going to be a major conversation, because I did see that there was a strike that has ended that was having AI as its major talking point. But unfortunately, there's a strike that I think starts today, which is the hospitality workers in Las Vegas. I know some of y'all like to go gamble and everything, but you might not have that much luck going to Vegas because apparently the hospitality workers are about to go on strike starting today. And they were actually, I saw some Instagram and other clips where they were actually being arrested on yesterday and everything. So your thoughts, Jacoby, around AI and also the strike really quick.
AI is here to stay and only growing more entrenched within our society. It's going to be used more and more from government entities to fill many gaps and many holes, and to businesses. I mean, from the stock market on down to writing, AI is here, and it's only we have to be prepared. I mean, we really need to be. We need more coders. We need tons more people to understand AI, because even the heads of these companies don't fully understand the capabilities of AI, and they're learning how they're trying to figure out how it learns a lot of the times. So
Jacoby, yeah, when you say we need more coders, is that being outsourced also to other countries?
Yeah, I mean, India is one of the biggest. China has a bunch of coders all across the globe. Yeah, I mean, coding. For example, cybersecurity right now in North Carolina alone, there are like 2,000 jobs available in cybersecurity. Cybersecurity deals with not only coding, but a whole bunch of other stuff in the background. Those are jobs there that need to be filled. But you know what's going to end up happening is a lot of them are going to get filled with AI, or some of them are going to get filled with AI as the more it advances. Some of it is going to get filled with people overseas, because we're not teaching and not emphasizing coding. Yes, we need adaptations and changes to our school system. Coding should be a big push, because again, well, for some, I don't want to say, hey, you person who enjoys music, you need to go code. Not that, but we need to provide opportunities, and that comes into the scholastic budget, and trying to provide opportunities for even these low-end schools that need that have kids that are smart enough to code, but they just don't have the opportunity or the facility to code. And then it's easy for them to drop into this pipeline to prison, because that's what the school becomes, and it doesn't actually provide the opportunity that kid needs. So yeah, I mean, updates in schools, changes to our scholastic programs, because yeah, we're falling behind, because AI is coming and it's not stopping. It's not stopping.
It's not coming. It's already here.
Oh yeah.
On the central side,
it train left the station a long time ago.
Go to the other side and everything, because I actually see that Nick's already over there and Ivan's over there as well, and some other people are over there on that side. But just really quickly, Lee, as we're getting ready to close out, what is your thoughts as one that is in the lanes of labor and accounting about this strike that is going on? Because I did hear that it's going to take place this weekend, and there have been other strikes as well. So I didn't know if you had any quick closing thoughts about this strike with our folks that are in the service industries around restaurants and other things that are the backbone of Las Vegas. If you've ever been to Las Vegas, they are definitely the backbone and everything. But apparently they're going on strike because they want better pay and some protection against AI and some of the other things as well. But I was just wondering your quick thoughts, if any, around this strike or any of the other strikes. It looks like Union is raising its head and is definitely flexing their muscle.
Yeah, there was a time and a place where unions were appropriate during sweatshop era and what have you. when I grew up, it was like, if you don't like the work environment or your boss or your pay, your feet, you do your talking, go work somewhere else. But a lot of these people don't have that ability because they don't have the marketable skills necessarily. So I can't really speak to that because it's a large group of people with very specialized skills or lack of that are transferable. It's not so easy for them to do that.
Yeah, and like I said, that's not I think it's a lot of people that are very much important in that Vegas tourism area. Like I think it's some of the maids and some of the janitors.
And just to tell them, just learn coding. That's not going to work.
Right.
I completely agree. That's what the failed tactic in the West Virginia, the coal mining areas, because a family that has been coal miners generations, hey, go code. Hey, that's not working.
In theory, it sounds great, but it's not going to work in the real world. And the numbers of people that we have affected, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's very true.
I can't speak. There may be valid concerns that they have, the way they're being treated, and maybe they are being underpaid. I don't know.
Right.
But I see it both ways. So for management, why should you pay people more than you need to get them to stay and do a good job?
Yeah, I can see both sides and everything, but it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Because, like I said, I did see some of the arrests that were taking place. I think that was yesterday that I was looking at that, and it was supposed to officially launch today. And they've got a major event coming over there. I think Formula One is supposed to have a race there, so that could definitely impact a major event going on, and it could drag on. And definitely Vegas is known for a lot of conferences, and
it's hard to run a hotel without service people.
Exactly. It's very hard to run without them. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. And it is a quick
where immigration comes into play too, because
Yes.
everything ties together, and we got to remember.
And quite a number of those that I saw were of the immigrant population. Like I said, when I saw the video, there were some people that were Latin American background. You could tell that clearly. There were some that were other parts of the immigration population. Because you're right, a lot of those people that are working there are part of the immigration population. Because you want to talk about a serious melting pot, and I've only been there once to visit a friend. But yeah, when I was there that one time, Vegas is a epitome of a melting pot because it's got a little bit of everybody and all in that kind of space. So it is definitely very much all kinds of groups that are there. I mean, I think I saw everybody from some Arab gentlemen to some definitely Latin American to various Europeans and a number of other folks. So yeah, it's definitely a melting pot.
Which brings us full circle back to where we started. We're a nation of laws, and if you just move and come and play and work together under the same laws, religion doesn't matter. Non-religion doesn't matter. We're a nation of laws.
Agreed. We're a nation of laws, and we've got some other guests that'll be coming on next week. Already reaching out to them, so we'll have some special guests next week, and we'll see what they've got to say. And some of them might be coming from both the Middle East perspective, as well as some from Europe, as well as some from some of these different issues and everything. So I've already reached out to some, including some that are in the veteran space. So we'll have some more interesting conversations in terms of World Edition on next week. But this is the last one for this particular week, and I'll see you fine folks on the 13th. But
y'all have a good weekend.
13th, it's Monday the 13th. So that's a good thing. We'll catch you on Monday the 13th here on World Edition. But definitely stay tuned to podtv.tv. Already they're having the conversation around Ukraine, Russia, and China. There are a number of other shows, including a show around interior designing that'll be coming your way at 2 o'clock. And a show around success for women featuring a military veteran that'll be coming your way at 7 o'clock with Dr. Madeline Lewis. So we're looking forward to some more great conversations during the course of the week and the weekend. But right now, we're getting ready to get out of here from World Edition.